So then, for the first time, we have a race where everyone in Europe at least had to stay up till like 10 to watch, but I feel like it was worth it. Hey guys, I hope you're all doing alright, and welcome back to the B1N4G4 channel, and welcome to a review of the 2021 US Grand Prix at Greta for the first time in 2 years. So obviously prior to the weekend there were a few grid penalties to be handed out for George Russell, Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas, who seems to be going through his engines like porridge. Also prior to the weekend we saw a bunch of content from all the F1 teams. First of all, the Red Bull drivers attempted at promoting Acura.
This is the big old Austin quiz with your boy Alex Albon.
But let's be honest, whilst there were a few laughs, the questions were quite bad.
How many past champions previously wore Acura visors for the North American races?
Also wanting to hop on the bandwagon of USA content was Daniel Ricciardo, who got to drive Dale Earnhardt's NASCAR car, now owned by Zach Brown obviously, if he got a podium, which aged well.
This was the deal that Zach made with me, so I would get to drive the car if I got a podium.
So on to Q1, it was of course the likely Mazepin, Schumacher, Latifi and Kimi out. Antonio Giovinazzi managed to get through into Q2, which was good I guess. However, this also meant that Lance Stroll got knocked out. Q2 was again a pretty modest affair, with both Alpine's Vettel, Giovinazzi and Russell getting knocked out. However, Q3 was the session we were all waiting for, and out of nowhere Sergio Perez pulled out provisional pole on the first runs, shortly followed by Lewis Hamilton, and of course finally Max Verstappen ended up taking the pole, which I mean was somewhat expected, but then again it was a pretty tasty session. Onto the race, and of course a lot of us were dreading what would happen between Hamilton and Verstappen, both on the front row obviously, into the first turn, which is of course like a really sharp hairpin, and then followed by a good S section, and now I'm waffling. Yeah, but anyway, Hamilton, then Norris, I believe. Further down the back, Bottas was struggling to get past the two AlphaTauris. Of course, Mercedes isn't too good at following other cars in traffic, yeah, which again we saw in places like Monza last year. So yeah, obviously with his grid penalty, he was struggling to get past the two AlphaTauris, which was, I mean, expected, but at the same time, not what Mercedes would have wanted, considering Hamilton was up there fighting both Red Bulls. Mercedes' woes got even bigger, I guess, as they pulled off another strategy big brain, as Verstappen pulled an undercut of over 6 seconds, and instead of pitting in the next lap, they decided to continue in the hope that Hamilton may close the gap in the second stint, which of course didn't happen. And then, strangely enough, they tried it again with Hamilton, as this time he continued for like nearly 10 laps after Verstappen had made a second stop, and the gap did begin to close. So yeah, the last few laps were getting rather tense. Further down the back of the grid, get back on, then overtake him. Yeah, however this wouldn't really mean much, as both Alpines eventually did retire out of this Grand Prix along with Gasly, both with issues to their car. However, back to the battle at the front, Hamilton began closing in on Verstappen, and towards the last few laps he was nearly getting in that DRS zone, but of course catching up is one thing, overtaking is another, and obviously getting stuck behind that dirty air obviously meant that Hamilton couldn't really get DRS from Verstappen. However, Hamilton's case was somewhat helped by the lap car of Mick Schumacher not really getting out the way, but ultimately it was races of the season, and yeah, personally I'm looking forward to the likes of Mexico and Brazil, and then the ones in Middle East, well, that would really depend Obviously 2 of those tracks we've never been to, but the general consensus is that they're quite bad. But I mean, you never know, it's a championship fight, and hopefully stuff goes down. But until then, that will be it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, then be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel for more content. I've been B104G4. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.